Hey everyone, I've been looking around online trying to find a good video for how I want to rig up my Humminbird Helix 5 SI G2 fish finder for my Predator PDL kayak. I've got some good ideas, but I haven't found one exactly for me, so I'm going to put this together, show you how I'm going to do it, and then hopefully this will help you out too. So stay tuned, we'll get to it. So just so everybody knows, the standard unit that does come with the Helix 5 does appear to fit nice and snug right in the housing, the pre-mold that's built into the PDL. So my plan is to attach a piece of PVC and just bolt it to the PVC here and then pull it through to where I can raise it and lower it as needed. Just because I've read some reviews and maybe the hole gets in, creates interference with the side imaging right here. So I'm going to make it to where I can raise it up and lower it depending on the conditions. So once I get away from the shore, I'll lower it down. You know, only a couple inches, really all I'll need. And then whenever I'm coming back in or anything, I'll pull it back up so where it lays flush with the bottom of the boat. See, it's actually pretty well protected. So even if I did forget or something and just pulled it up, we should be okay coming back in. So what I've done here is I've got a 1-inch Schedule 80 piece of PVC pipe that I actually cut down to just at a foot. And I've gone ahead and cut a notch in so that the wire, the cable from the transducer, can fit down through whenever we insert it into the molded kayak. Transducer scupper hole. So as you can see here, it's actually a perfect fit with this 1-inch. It just slides right down and it's got a nice firm grip on it. So I'm thinking that I can just mount the transducer here and then slide it up and down as needed from the other side of the kayak when I'm going along. So once it's in, it should fit right about there. I'm gonna have to heat this up and bend it out so that we can mount the transducer to have it fit flush. Because you can see here, if I went straight down with it, it'd actually be hitting the back and it wouldn't be quite as low as I would like. So I'm hoping that we can get it bent just enough to where we can sit it nice and flush. Of course the cable's in the way, but nice and flush right about there. So anyways, we'll keep going. So it might be hard to see just because of lighting. Sorry about that. I'll do as best I can. But if you can tell, it looks like there's not enough room to actually fit inside this 1-inch Schedule 40 or Schedule 80. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this heat gun and I'm going to warm it up just a little bit and see if I can set the transducer mount inside the PVC, and then we can push it down and measure how much we're going to have to angle it once it's in the scupper hole to get it to mount flush. So we're getting there, making progress. What I'm doing, I'm just working my way around that opening. I've got a pair of pliers in there to just provide the smallest amount of little force on the outside or from the inside to bend those out. I'm just working my way around it, trying to heat it up with the heat gun so that it expands just enough, because I still want a tight fit on the transducer mount once I set it in there. Now we have it flared out at the top just a little bit, just enough for the mount to fit. But you can tell I've got a little bit of a gap in between there. So I'm going to try and shave these edges down. There we go, now you can see it. So I've got a little bit of a gap. I'm going to try and shave these edges down just to mold it to the mount just a little bit better for a nice flush finish. All right, now that we have it mounted to the PVC, just held in place, it's going to have a bolt through it there soon. But now that we've got it on there, we can see kind of the gap that I'm dealing with whenever we press it down into place, and why I'm going to have to bend that pipe towards the front of the kayak just to get it to fit down in. See, that's kind of the gap we're looking at right now. So I'm going to heat up the pipe again, and I'm going to try and bend it forward to get it to set in this gap right here. All right, so we've almost got it just hot enough. As you can see, I stuck some dowel rods in there And I got them right about the height that I need, or depth in the pipe that I need to where I start my bend. So I'm gonna heat it up just a little bit more and then see if we can move and start shifting this pipe to fit back in and get the angle that we're looking for. So as you can see there, you might be able to tell, you might not, but I've got it bent all the way towards the front of the kayak, right where I wanted it. So I'm gonna hold that in place for a few minutes and let it cool down, and we'll see how it turns out. So what I ended up doing, once I got the initial bend to bring that forward, that pipe forward, I heated it up one more time and let it, give it a little bit of pressure. But once it started to cool back down, I went ahead and ran the cable through and put the transducer in there and then held it, and it's still cooling down, but I'm holding it kind of in place as it cools down so that we get a nice flush finish right where we want it. And as you can see, I think it's going to turn out really nice. You're still below the lip, and actually I can push it down just a hair more right now, but you're still going to be below the lip, so you're not going to come in contact with much, and it's going to be protected. But I think it's coming out really good. All right, as you can see, I just drilled the hole that we're going to mount the using the nut and bolt to the transducer to the mount that we're making. So I started with a small pilot hole and then used a 3/16 bit to drill out that hole to mount it on. So let me find a nut and a bolt and we'll make it happen. After remeasuring, it turns out that the original bolt that came with it is actually a 7/32. So I'm going to use that drill bit and make it a little bit larger. Alright, just got back from Lowe's with a little bit of hardware to finish the mount on the transducer to our transducer mount. So got some 1/4 inch by 2 inch bolts with washers, lock washer, and a nut. And we're going to feed that through the top right here to do the mount. And then I also got a T-handle. And what we're going to do with this is we're going to put this on the end after I cut it down to size. And then that way I have a handle to pull it back and through to measure the depth that I want it at when I'm in the kayak riding around. Alright, so as you can see here, we've got it mounted. And we've got the wire running down into the gap that we made. Still plenty of room there to adjust if we need to. I don't have anything tightened up yet, just because I want to make sure everything was good. But that's basically in deployed mode. And for reference, that's what you're looking at from the bottom of the hole. So we've got plenty of clearance. Make sure the side imaging works well. And then I've also attached underneath, as you can see here, I attached a T handle to it. So whenever we're done and we want to pull it back flat, we just pull and it locks in. Just based on the bend that we had in the pipe that we made. So looking at that, I'm going to try it like this, just running it. Check and see how the side imaging does, because I really like how flush and flat that ended up being. So if you can tell, we've got pretty good protection right there. Not bad at all. So there's the underneath view, or well, this will basically be the top view as I have my kayak. So I just ran the wire down through the pipe and then out through the T-handle, and that's going to end up being inside the hatch where you have the battery bag, and everything will be looped up nice and tight under there, and I'll have it come back out and connect to the unit, which I'm going to mount on this plate here. Alright, So everyone can see how everything looks with the pedal drive, PDL drive installed. Still have plenty of clearance here. You know, we're looking at an inch and a quarter or so. That's in the fully stowed position all the way up. So you can push it down. And I've got it to where I've actually worked in a couple of notches in the rest of the pipe. And you can see, scoot back here, but you can see you still have plenty of clearance. You know, here's the bottom of the PDL drive here. You're gonna come into contact with whatever's in your way with the PDL drive before you come even remotely close to hitting the transducer the way it's mounted. And that's in the little bit lower deployed position now. So I'm really happy with the way it's coming out so far, and now we just need to mount the head unit. All right, for the head unit install, I went ahead and purchased the ram ball mount. It's got a 3-inch base plate, and it's a 1.5-inch ball to make it a little larger and easier to swivel around. So we're gonna get it mounted up and see how it looks. So you can see I've got the ram ball mounted to the faceplate, and I had to run to the hardware store again to pick up some nuts and bolts to attach the other end to the gimbal bracket of the Humminbird head unit. So these are the ones that I picked up, and they work perfectly. So I'm gonna get those tightened down, and we're gonna keep going and get it mounted up, and then we'll put the fuses on the inline power and power it up. All right, so now that we have everything mounted up with the ram ball mount, now the only thing we have left to do is power it on. But before we do that, we have to get a 3-amp fuse in the line of the power. So I purchased this fuse block at AutoZone, but they did not have the 3-amp fuse, unfortunately. So I ordered a pack of those off of Amazon for about $8 for 10 of them. So I got those plugged up. I'm gonna get this mounted inside with some double-sided tape that I'll stick to the back, and then probably either mount up underneath or on the side of the kayak. I even thought about mounting it to the back of the battery. So I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to put that yet, but I'll get it figured out here in just a minute. So after numerous trips to the store today, I had to go back and get some more nuts and bolts because I wanted to be able to mount this fuse block. And at first I was going to use one of the battery bag straps and attach it to this screw here, but that bolt wasn't long enough, so I went and got longer bolts. But in the end, I determined that I'm going to actually mount it up here in the corner. Try and get some light on it. So I'm going to mount it up here in the corner so that I have easy access to all the prongs, and it's up and out of the way of the cargo area. So I've already got one hole drilled, and you can see it's going to end up sitting right in here, but on the underneath side. That way I can access all the prongs on each side with the fuse, in case I want to add lights or anything additional that's going to require fuses in the future. So I've already got my other pilot hole drilled, and the way I did that is I reached in here, I mounted one side, held the other side up, got it kind of where I wanted it, and then drilled from the inside out, just using a small drill bit to create a pilot hole. And then I'm about to take my stair-step drill bit, which I highly recommend for drilling on kayaks, just to make sure you can get the smallest hole possible to fit exactly what you're trying to go for. But I'm about to take that and round it out a little bit more until I can get my bolt to fit back through there. I've also got some watertight grommets. They're polyurethane. Sorry, they're bonded neoprene washers, and that actually seals down against the hole. So as you can see, it's got a little neoprene washer that's built onto the metal part. So whenever you screw it down and tighten it up, it creates a nice seal there. It's actually what the Predator PDL uses on from the factory on the battery bag and the hatch, other places like that. So it actually works really well. So as you can see there, we got it mounted, and it looks really, really good. I'm really happy with that location because it hangs right above the battery box. And the beautiful thing about this kit, or this fuse block, is that it comes with a waterproof housing. So where I connect the fuse bus, or the fuse itself inside, this will just clip on and seal that area off. So this, I think I'm going to be really happy with the way this turns out. Let me get it wired up and we'll turn everything on. So another thing I do just for a little bit of added security on all the connections is I'll add heat shrink after we clamp the alligator clips on the end, or the quick connects on the end. I'll put heat shrink on, and then the final product ends up looking like that. Nice and secure, tight, added waterproofing around it so that nothing has a chance to get in there and affect that connection. Alright, well, we got it all rigged up and everything's wired, as you can see. It looks like it's a mess, but it's actually done really cleanly. It looks really good. I'm really happy with it. So I think I'm going to go with just the route, at least for now, of the cables going through underneath the hatch. So we'll seal off the hatch, close it up, just like that. And I know it seals. Oh, got something in the way. So it will seal up over the cables, nice and tight. There we go. Seals up over the cables nice and tight. You can still lock it down. See? Everything's sealed up. Everything's wired, run, and let's turn it on. There we go. So, all in all, 3 trips to Lowe's to get a few more nuts and bolts, and then we should be good to go. So, looking forward to getting it out in the water and testing it out, seeing how it goes. Hopefully I can do that in the next couple of weekends and report back. So, thanks for hanging in there. This is my first video, and we'll appreciate getting your comments and seeing what you think.